Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be discussing one of the most fundamental concepts in JavaScript programming, variables. Whether you are new to coding or just need a refresher, in this tutorial we will give you all the tools you need to master variables in JavaScript. Intro to Variables, Part 1. So what exactly are variables? In programming, a variable is simply a container that holds a value within memory location, as you can see in the image. Next is, we can use variable to store data and manipulate in our code. As it can be seen in the image, we can use the value of A as B and B as A. This is called manipulation. In JavaScript, we use the keyword var to declare a variable. Now let's look at the code. So here we are with our code. It says store a number in A. So if you remember, A is just a variable. So what you can do is, we have learned that var can be used to create variables. So var A is equal to any number. It can be negative value. So I am also adding negative value and then this end of the line symbol. Okay, now run the test and you get the output as test passed. Variable A should store a number. Okay. Next one, if you remember, we learned about manipulation of data. So we were using B is equal to A and A is equal to B. So how to do that? It's very simple. That's the goal for the next one. It creates two variables. Create two variables A and B with same value in each. There are two ways to do it. First one is A is equal to 14 and B is equal to 14. Since both the value are there, that means that you will get this test as passed that A and B should be equal. But how to change that? That is how to use the value of A and B. Just change the value with A. This is called manipulation, as we have seen earlier also. And if you run the test case again, you will see that A and B are equal. Having seen all these, let's now look at how to declare variables in JavaScript. Declaring variable part 2. How to declare variables? In JavaScript, we can use keyword var, let or const to declare a variable. But there are certain more things that you need to know. Var is the oldest way of declaring variable, but it has some limitations. On the other hand, let and const is introduced in ECMA6 and it allows us to assign the variables. But there is a subtle difference. Let allows you to reassign or redeclare the variable once it's assigned, while const allows us to assign the variables once and it cannot be reassigned or declared. You can think of const as constant. Now let's solve some problems related to it. So back in editor, you can see we have our goal, use the keyword let. So if you remember that when using const, you cannot allow value. So let's see if it is true or not. So I say const A is equal to 14 and A is equal to 5. Now if I run the test, you will see that you will get a weird type of error, type error which we call it, and it says assignment to a constant variable. So this proves that the value can't be reassigned to a constant. But how to do that? Yeah, you remember it right. We can use the keyword let to do the same thing, and here it says A should equal to 5. So having known how to define variables in multiple ways, let's look at what are the different types of variables that are present in JavaScript. Type of variables part 3. Different type of variables. JavaScript has several different type of variables. The most common types that we are going to discuss today are number variables, Boolean variables, and string variables. Let's take a look at each one. So here we are back to our editor, and as you know, we have already talked about different type of variables. Let's look at each of them in detail. So a number variable is just something that stores a number in it. And as you have seen, we are using var, a variable name, equal to, and that a number. The number can be anything, but it should have digits. Now the next type that we saw was Booleans. So what were Boolean variables? Boolean variables are a specific type of variable which can only store two type of values, hence the name Boolean. It says true or false. So here we have to create two Boolean variables, A and B, store true in one and false in another. That's our next question. So what we are going to do is we are going to use var A is equal to true, var B is equal to false. And once we do it, we run it, you can see that A is a Boolean, B is a Boolean, A should not be equal to B. Now, next thing that we have seen was string variables. So what are strings first of all? Strings are a bunch of characters put together like a message. For example, you are having const A is equal to hello. So hello is made up of different characters, HELLO. Exclamation marks is again a character, so you can do it. In JavaScript, there are three ways to define the variable. First one is using double inverted comma. Second one is using single inverted comma. And third one is something unique, that is you can call variables inside a string, and for that you need to use this tiddle icon that is at below the escape. Now let's see how to interpolate value. Our goal is to create a variable hello world using A and B. The variable A should store the value world and the B should show the hello world that. So you can say where A is equal to world, where B is equal to tiddle, inside tiddle hello curly braces $sign and A. If we put it, you can see that it will work in the similar way. A is a string, A should be a word and B should be a string. So we have passed all the test cases. But there are a couple of details that also I want to share. So you can actually use single quotation mark inside a double quotation marks, or a double quotation marks inside a single quotation. But what if you want to use single quotation marks inside a single quotation mark? So for that we can use a backslash character. So having known all the different type of variables, let's look at what are the different rules which you can follow to write variables of them. Naming rules of the variables, part 4. Naming rules of a variable. Now that you know how to declare and assign values to variable, let's talk about naming conventions. It's important to choose clear or descriptive variable name so that your code is easy to understand. That's the most basic one. For example, here var x doesn't denote anything. However, if you use the variable say age is equal to 5, that means that the variable has the value of certain age. Now let's look at few of the rules that are other than this. So here are few rules other than what we have discussed. It is called casing. In JavaScript, variables tend to be written in lower camel case. What is lower camel case? In lower camel case, the first letter will be a small one and the next consecutive words will be joined and there will be no space and the first character will be a capital letter. And it's purely stylistic. You can even use the snake case. That's totally fine. All JavaScript cares about is that variables are one word, not separated by space, and they only include valid characters. Valid characters for variable names are A to Z small, A to Z capital, dollar symbol, underscore 0 to 9. Although it's worth noting that the value or the variable name cannot be started with a digit. But there is one rule that you need to follow. There is something called environment variable, which are the variables just set by environment or a constant value. You should always start it with constant and the capital snake case is good for that. Other than that, there are few other rules also, like you should declare your variable at the very top of the program, and in general you should use the let keyword instead of var. If you feel like that your variable value will be going to change, else you can use the const keyword. So that concludes the tutorial on variable naming, and let's see whatever we have learned now. The conclusion. What we have done? We have learned the following. Basis of declaring and assigning values to variables, as well different type of variables and naming conventions. Different ways to declare variables using var, let and const keyword. We also highlighted the key difference between them. That is, let and const are two new ways to declare variables, but let allows you to reassign values. Finally, we looked at how to use variables to store and manipulate data in the programs more effectively and efficiently, as we have done in the tutorial. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more programming tutorials.